How you doing? What is that?
Yeah, very good. It's my new book, Daryl. Out today. You're better than that. How to fix modern football. And people like yourself and McCoist could read this, should read this, and educate yourselves because you need fixing.
Don't even care. Terrible book.
How are we, lads? How are we? Guessing. I'm guessing, Chris, that book will be mainly made out of pictures, yes? And I've got to say, you've surprised me when I've joined the company. You've got lovely background there in your video call. I'm guessing that's your children, because I fully expected it to be photographs of yourself.
What are you doing here anyway? I thought you'd cleared off somewhere else. I was hoping you'd have cleared off somewhere else. I wanted to be...
Listen, I'm your Claudio Gentili. You might get into the odd defender. I'm the best man marker on you'll ever have, boy. Don't worry about that.
You'll never be my number one, Chris. Anyway, guys, I've got some big news.
The big news is that book, obviously. I tell you right now. I've got to say, Darryl, it's given me a heck of a decision. I don't know whether to go for Chris's book or the Viz.
I just got a message from the boss. We've been recommissioned. Scottish Football Extra is back.
Oh, Christ. Did somebody hypnotise him?
Nice to see you. Good. Unshaven as usual.
New member of the team tonight. We need to give him a warm welcome.
And as always in BT Sport, we should probably give him a little gift.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, that's blatantly obvious, and it says maybe a lot about your knowledge in football.
Oh, what was his name? He used to be the manager before Neil.
Top dog in Scotland, Daryl, like I used to be.
What game at Ibrox as well together? Nothing in that. Get up, big man.
By the way, I thought the referee was terrific there.
Yes!
Sorry, we'll get you to it.
JD, just a little bit harder. Oh,
I've had a few nights out, but I've never finished it off with a game of water polo. I have to inform you.
The memories, lads. It's great to be back, isn't it? Another season, and what a big season we've got ahead in Scottish football. And we're going to be here every single week to talk you through everything that happens, and with the biggest personalities in Scottish football as well. A couple of big ones on this call. Would you agree?
In size.
Anyway, boys, come on. Let's get to Scottish football. There's a massive season ahead for so many reasons, but particularly if we get a title race this season, Ali, and if it is Celtic and Rangers a long way into the season, my goodness, there is so much at stake.
Oh, absolutely, Darryl. Let's be honest, guys. I think that's the only way we're going to, unless something, really surprises us, that's the only way we're going to get a title race, And I expect probably an improved Aberdeen and an improved Hibs, but if you're talking about a title race here, effectively it will and hopefully be between Rangers and Celtic. I don't think there's any doubt about that. We certainly had one for, a long period of the title of the Championship last year, and obviously after the Christmas break, after the winter break, Rangers' form deteriorated and Celtic kicked on. So I think from our point of view, if it can continue towards the end of the season, we do get a good title race, and I think we can all look forward to that.
10 in a row is on the line for Celtic though, Chris. I mean, this is the season that neither of the top two can make any real mistakes.
yeah, but it's not been Celtic who have made the mistakes in the last 9 seasons. Celtic have been absolutely ruthless. I mean, it's going to be so interesting, isn't it? Because Rangers have the situation where it looks like their main player, their top scorer, Morelos, the talk I've been seeing, he wants away. Does Morelos have the stomach for it. It doesn't seem that way. He wants to jump ship. And if that's the case, then, in many respects, I know he's a loose cannon, but that would be devastating news for Steven Gerrard, the fact that he's got nearly 60 goals in the last couple of seasons. And it's okay saying we can replace him and we can bring someone in. But who? And that's the big dilemma which Rangers have.
Ali, can they afford to lose him?
Chris is absolutely spot on. Yes, they can afford to lose him. If the offer they receive is acceptable, I think they will lose him. The hardest thing they've got to do, as Chris touched on there, is replace his goals. Now you can go out and buy with the money you get. You might be able to buy 2 centre forwards. I don't know. You probably need 2 centre forwards, to be quite honest with you. With Jermaine Defoe currently, I think he's got a hamstring problem. So I would think minimum one. You probably need 2 centre forwards, and you will be able to do that with the finance that you get for Morelos. But can you guarantee the goals that he gave you? That's the big question. You've got, I think, that's the gamble that Stephen and Rangers, I think they probably will take.
You can't trust him, Ali.
Correct.
Come on.
You took the words out of my mouth. You took the exact words out of my mouth, Chris. I don't think I can trust him, and I don't think Stephen can trust him either. So all the factors would determine to me that if they get an acceptable offer, he will be away. Plus the fact, and it is as important a fact as anything, Chris, you know, if you've got a player that doesn't want to be there, what good's it to your squad in your dressing room?
The one thing you would say, though, Ali, is that in the head-to-head last season, Rangers were better against Celtic than they have been for a long time, consistently.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. And I think I've already said, I've gone on record as saying, I think the Old Firm games again this year will be as important as they've ever been, because Rangers cannot afford to make the same mistakes in the other games as they did last year, particularly after the winter break. And I thought Rangers' performances against Celtic last year, generally speaking, were better than good. They were very, very good. Interestingly enough, they had a great result at Celtic Park. I think we can all agree they were all very, very unlucky not to win the League Cup, but that can happen. A cup final can happen in an Old Firm game. We all know that better than anybody. But also,
you can't say that they were very unlucky, Ali. They shot themselves in the foot. They missed chances, didn't they? Missed chances, missed a penalty. And if you're a Rangers fan, you're thinking, well, if we can't win that,
Forster was really
good with the bug which you've got. If we can't win that, then when are we?
Well, okay, yeah. I agree with you to that degree. Missing a penalty and missing all those chances probably isn't bad luck, it's bad finishing. But certainly the offside goal you could probably have done is bad luck, Chris, surely.
I knew that was up there. Blame the officials. Blame everybody else.
I'm not. I'm just saying the offside goal goes against you. That's a little bit of bad luck. Okay. Now, the point I was trying to make regarding it was, I thought one of the games that Celtic dominated, and it was interesting, and it was interesting to hear your views on it, when Rangers played Jermaine Defoe up front himself at Ibrox, and I thought that was a mistake. I think Jermaine Defoe is probably still arguably the best finisher in the country. Given a chance, he can certainly score a goal. But I
can't
just
say
felt...
You can't say
Well, he's up there. He's certainly in the top 3, no?
Right, guys.
No?
He's nearly 50. He's nearly 50 now. They can't rely on Jermaine Defoe. You can't keep... I mean, you're
That's
a
the
great
point.
finisher. But we
That's
can't
exactly
talk
the
about
point.
you at this moment in time, about stopping the 10.
Couple of quick fire things, guys, because you two can go on forever, can't you? I mean, you're talking about games months and months ago here. Come on. Right, Chris, are you surprised
one of us who's
Celtic
going
still
on.
have... Are you surprised that Celtic still have Edouard at the moment? Because I think you felt at the end of last season there was a good chance his form could take him away. Somebody would come in for him.
I think that there'll be a lot of people interested in Odsonne Edouard. But if you're Neil Lennon, you cannot sell Edouard with what is at stake. History is on the line here. The 10 has never been done. I mean, are you mad, Daryl, suggesting that Celtic would sell Edouard?
Well, I think you
Regardless
said
of
you
the
thought
money,
they would come.
well,
Might not be
regardless
Neil's
of the money, it may not be Neil's decision, but regardless of the money, imagine the Celtic support if they sold Odsonne Edouard before the start of the season and then didn't get the 10. I mean, they'd burn the park down.
Look, they signed a goalkeeper now, Chris.
With what's his
Signed a goalkeeper. Vasilas Barkas is in. Didn't get Fraser Forster back. Eli Anusi coming back could be a real coup as well. What do you make of Lee Griffiths so far and the storylines that have come with him, guys, this pre-season?
I just think he's again, not for the first time, he's let himself down. He's let the Celtic fans down, and probably most importantly, the man that stood by him, he's let Neil Lennon down. It just absolutely baffles me, that wee man. That wee man should be scoring goals for Celtic and playing in the Scotland team. And I don't know. I don't know whether he doesn't get it or I do not understand it. Maybe you can tell me, Chris. But I just think it's a disgrace the way he came back and he wasn't in a fit enough state to go with the rest of his teammates to France.
I normally disagree with Ali. I can't on this. I agree with everything that he says. He came back, he transformed Celtic season. I think we all realised that when Celtic went with the 2 up. And there's just a bit of discipline, isn't it? When the season stopped, just keep yourself in shape. It's actually not difficult to do.
Ali, can I also ask you, Rangers this season, right now, when you look at the squad they've got now, clearly Steven Gerrard wants more players in. But right now, that squad they've got, is it good enough to win the league?
Time will tell. I've got to say to you, if you look at both squads, there hasn't really, let's be honest guys, there hasn't really been anything dramatic in terms of changes to the squads. So, on current form, listen, the bookies don't get it wrong, Celtic would be favourites, absolutely. What Rangers have got to do is, I reckon Rangers needed, I think I said to Chris the other day, I think Rangers need 3 players. I don't think they need to strengthen the squad. They need 3
How many players is Steven Gerrard going to bring in at Ray? He's put 30 on in. How many does he need?
33.
We need more.
He needs 33 because he needs another 3 to get straight into the team. So, in answer to your question, 33, mate. He needs another 3. Not to get into the squad. I'm not interested in strengthening the squad, Darryl, Chris. Not interested. Rangers need to strengthen their team. And by that I mean the spine again. They need. Can somebody explain to me why Rangers didn't get Lyndon Dykes in January or whenever it was? Somebody will need to explain that to me. Because he was crying out. He's a centre half. He battered the Celtic defence. He battered the Rangers defence. There's massive improvement in him. Technically, he's not bad. 2 good feet. He's quick enough. And as I say, I think there is improvement in him. Now, by waiting, his price tag's just going up and up and up. Somebody like him would have been a perfect, as a gamble. All signings are gambles. But you'd have got him right away. And what he does straight away, he gives you something different that Rangers don't possess at this moment in time. And that is a kind of physicality up front. I know Morelos does it to a certain degree, but he's not a kind of backstick attacking the ball. Somebody like yourself, Chris, that would be a perfect addition to the squad. So Rangers need, in answer to your question, Darryl, Rangers need 3 players, I think, to go straight into the team.
Let's resume this next week. We'll see how Rangers do at Pittodrie. We'll see how Celtic do on Sunday against Hamilton. But for now, because we're almost out of time in part 1, and Ali, I know you've got another gig you need to go in a minute. So I've got a little quiz for you. This is going to become, and the order's been carefully thought out, Sutton v McCoist as this season goes on. Is that correct? You happy with that?
Oh, I love it. I'm delighted with that. I've got underdog written all over me.
Good.
You got dog written all over you.
Gold question is Fortes. Surely you should be the favourite, but I don't know. Chris, he's right into his quizzes now. Anyway, it's a very simple question. You get 1 turn each, name a team each. I'm asking you to name all 42 SPFL clubs. Chris, since you're first here on the list, you can go first. I'll try and mark them off as I go here. And if you take them all,
Ali's Scottish.
I take it you lose the game. I take it you lose the game if you say something that's been said.
Correct, or if you take too long, Ali, and I'm the judge.
Right, easy.
Chris, go on to start us off.
Celtic.
Rangers.
Oh, well done, Ali. Did well there. Kilmarnock.
Hibs.
Motherwell.
St Johnstone.
Hearts.
Ross County.
Oh, that's good. Inverness, Cali.
Dundee United.
St Johnstone.
Send them.
You're out. You're out. Mate, it's your own game.
Did he say St Johnstone?
Yeah, he did.
Yes.
That
Of course
was
I
a
did.
really good tactic there. Your tactic was really good. Go really slow, take your time, and act really stupid. You did that really well. That put me off.
Well, I'll tell you where it came from.
Okay.
1-0 to Mr. McCoist. To be continued. Al, I'm going to let you go. We need to take a break. Chris, stay where you are. A couple more guests are about to join us in part 2. See you soon.
That's the only Rangers victory in the last decade.
Shut up.
Enjoy the week, boys. Great to see you.
Welcome back to part 2 of Scottish Football Extra. We've got a couple of new guests on the show, as you can see. Familiar faces, Stephen Craigan and Michael Stewart. Good to see you, gentlemen. Good to be back, isn't it, Stephen?
It absolutely is, Darryl. It's been a long 4.5 months, hasn't it? You know, it's been frustrating. It's been devastating for some people as well. But I think having football back and having the Scottish season, you know, just around the corner, then it's something to look forward to.
Nice to see you in the boardroom there as well, Michael.
Always good to see you guys, Darryl. Puts a smile on my face.
Good man, who'd have thought? Anyway, we need to crack on because in part 1, Ali McCoist and Chris Sutton took up far too much time, so we want to get through plenty. I want to ask you first of all, though, about playing behind closed doors. It's a very different dynamic, something, Chris, you've seen a lot of in games down south that you've been to. It's going to take a bit of adapting, isn't it, still, regardless of pre-season?
It is. Well, the guys would have been used to it playing behind closed doors with the club. I wouldn't have been so used to it, Darryl. But of course, football isn't the same. And, I've been to many grounds and it just doesn't feel right. I mean, down south, they're really pleased that they finished the Premier League season. And of course, it was important to finish. It wasn't possible in Scotland. But it's certainly not the same. And the sooner we get fans back into the stadiums, the better. I think they're talking about September now. Getting them back in Scotland, which will be great if it's safe.
Yeah, at least some of them back. In the meantime, we need to hope that the testing continues to be effective and works as well, and we can get football on every single week. Let's talk about a few of the clubs then. A lot of discussion about Celtic and Rangers in part 1. I want to talk about some of the other moves that have been made in the summer. Would you like to start with Aberdeen, Stephen?
Well, I think it would be very appropriate, Darryl, to start with Motherwell since they finished third last season. But listen, you're in charge of the show, so you can ask whatever question you want.
I just teed you up beautifully there. I mean, I just had a glance down and I saw the letter A. I thought we should go there first. Right, you kick off Motherwell then. You've seen them recently, haven't you? Do you see another good season ahead with the work they've done in the market?
Yeah. Thanks very much, Darryl. You know, over the past kind of 2 summers, there's been 28-player turnover, 30-player turnover. This season, I think it's been 14 or 15. So, maintaining the majority of the squad, young, hungry players. Jake Hasty's back in loan, who obviously came through the system. David Turnbull's going to be like a new player coming back into the squad. So, Chris Long, Stephen wasn't too sure if he'd get him back. So, I think having the core of that squad, Declan Gallagher is now club captain. I expect an exciting season, but the challenge for them is, can they maintain the level of performance from last season? Teams will adapt differently playing against them, and they have to step up to it. But on paper, I think they've certainly got a good squad.
Yeah, they made a few signings. As for Aberdeen, Michael, go back to them. Look, massive blow that Sam Cosgrove is out injured. Curtis Main's also picked up a knock. He's not going to be playing this weekend either. But that is not what you need just before a new season starts, when you've only brought one in Johnny Hayes, a good one at that.
Yeah, well, obviously, Dave Cormack's spoken about a one-in, one-out policy as well. So we'll wait and see whether they look to recruit another striker, because they're short at the moment, there's no doubt. Sam Cosgrove being out is a massive miss. Johnny Hayes coming back is a huge bonus. I think he'll lift the place, in terms of the stature he's got at the club. But you get a big bid from France for Sam Cosgrove. He doesn't want to do it, and then he gets injured. Although I think there's some positive signs that it might not be as bad an injury as they first thought. Look, Aberdeen are always going to be strong. They've got a good, strong spine. Dylan McGeer's got a bit of time to settle into the team now as well. And Johnny Hayes have already spoken about coming back in. We'll give them a bit more creativity and ammunition to supply whoever it is that's going to be playing centre forward in the short term. And I think Aberdeen they're still going to be up there challenging for the European spots. There's no question of that.
On to Dundee United. Mickey Mellon in. Do you like that move, Stephen? Dundee United have made, of course, it was enforced with Robbie Nielsen leaving, and there was a bit of uncertainty about which league they'd be playing in. That's all finally been sorted this week as well.
I think first and foremost, it's good to have Dundee United back, Darryl. They're one of our biggest clubs up here in Scotland who, traditionally have always done well and competed well in the league. So I think they've been missed for the last 4 years. Ultimately, they've had to earn the right to get back into the Scottish Premiership. They've done that. I was surprised Robbie stepped away, but I think Mickey Mellon's something different. He's fresh, he's new, bringing Stevie Frail in along with him. But I think the challenge, what they will have is they don't have a lot of top-flight experience within their squad. I think you look at Peter Pollitt, Mark Reynolds, Mark Connolly, Callum Butcher. Out with that, there's not an awful lot. A lot of players still have big points to prove. Lawrence Shanklin will be looking forward to a season. All eyes will be on him. He's got an international cap. He scored goals in the Championship. Everyone's looking to see, can he step up? Can he make the difference for Dundee United? It will be tough for him. But the likes of Paul McMullen, I know, who is out with a groin injury at the minute, will be interested to see, can he step up? Young players, Louis Appere is one. I think Declan Glass. So there's lots of excitement and talk around Dundee United, and I'm sure they'll be looking forward to getting started.
One question on Dundee United, Darryl.
Go on.
Sorry, just going to say one question on Dundee United, and the big question is, can they keep hold of Lawrence Shanklin?
So I'm going to come to Hamilton next. I mean, every one of you have tipped them to go down again. Chris, you do it every year.
No way.
Lower of averages, Darryl. A big overhaul of players again. They've actually had a decent enough pre-season, but I think with the overhaul of players, they've got a young team. I think this season will be one too much for them. Simple as that, Darryl.
Stephen, do you like overall the business Hibs have done?
Darryl, I do, because I think the three players they've brought in will enhance Jack Ross's first 11. They're not squad players. Dre Wright will come in and add pace on the right-hand side. I think they've lacked width. Stevie Mallon, Scott Allen, very similar players in midfield, but they need out-and-out wingers to go and get at things. I think Jack can adapt his playing style. Kevin Nisbet's a gamble, no doubt about it. £250,000 reportedly for a player who's played in the Championship, scored goals in the Championship. So, there's a challenge there for him to come up and show what he can do.
Must move on. Lots of other clubs I want to touch on briefly. Let me ask you, Stephen, about Kilmarnock. Alex Dyer, he shopped the market out south, the market he knows pretty well. Danny Rogers, Aaron McGowan added two. Do you like what they've got?
Well, I think, a lot of clubs will be relying on core players who have been there over the years. Kurt Broadfoot has returned. I think Alan Power, Gary Dicker, Eamon Brophy, Chris Burke. That's the kind of players that he'll be relying on every single week to go out and put a performance in. What he will do is try and add around the edges so it can complement what he's got. I think Kilmarnock are in for a tough season.
Michael Livingston, Alan Forrest, interesting signing. Robbie McCrory back from Rangers on loan as well. Still got Lyndon Dykes. Key.
Oh, Lyndon Dykes is a huge asset for Livingston, and he really is the key man, because whenever I saw Livingston last year and Lyndon Dykes wasn't playing, they were still very well structured, but they lacked that talisman at the top end of the park. And we've obviously seen the trouble that he caused a lot of really top defenders last year. So he's key to them potentially going and challenging for the top six again this season.
Stephen, Ross County, interesting. Stuart Kettlewell's on his own now. His mate Stephen Ferguson's the chief executive, and that surely means if it doesn't go well, he can sack his old mate.
Listen. The one thing that Roy McGregor's up there within his, staff and managers' trust, loyalty towards each other. I think Dom Cowie's now retired and gone in as first team coach, and Richie Britton's now assistant manager. So, there's a real good vibe up there. Sometimes people forget about Sunday. They're so far north, people don't really give them an awful lot of coverage. But I think Stuart has done a lot of good business. I think you look at his 4 centre forwards, Lee Irwin, big Ross Stewart managed to keep the hold off. Billy Mackay is another one. Ollie Shaw, they signed from him. So they've certainly got attacking talent. The problem is they conceded too many goals last year. They conceded 60 goals, which was the worst in the league. So if they can improve on that side of the game, then they've got a chance of easily sending us off light.
Chris St Johnstone, Callum Davidson as boss there. Is that a good fit, given the fact that he's been away, obviously, he worked at Millwall, but he knows Tommy Wright inside out in the past. What Tommy had done for the club?
Yeah, he's going to be his own man, my old teammate from Blackburn Rovers. I have to say I fear for St Johnstone a little bit this season with Callum taking over. Big shoes to fill in terms of Tommy Wright. I think it could be a tough season for them.
Okay, that was short and sweet. St Mirren, Michael, Tony Fitzpatrick's tipping them for a top 6 finish again.
Yeah, well, he certainly doesn't shy away from keeping the pressure on his managers, does he? It's look, I think it's a bit pie in the sky to be looking at the top 6 for St Mirren. As long as they survive, it will be a success. And I think the same issues as last year will continue this year. That they need to find that little bit of a X factor in the final third. Jim Goodwin had his team very well structured, difficult to beat. They didn't get hammered too often last season. I think the last game before the season shut was perhaps their worst result against Celtic, was it? And I think the same again. They've recruited well defensively, and in midfield, I think they're solid. I just fear for them at the top end of the park being able to put the ball in the back of the net enough to be able to convert those 1 points into 3 or avoiding defeat and getting a draw. I think that's the key, is somebody that can just put the ball in the back of the net consistently for them.
And they've signed players who know all about the SPFL, Scottish football, like Richard Tate, Joe Shaughnessy back up there as well. Marcus Fraser's done a deal, and Isaac Thorvaldsen, who's in from Norwich City on loan. Chris, it must be good.
Well, I don't know whether you follow football, Daryl, south of the border, but Norwich got relegated.
Yeah, thanks for that. I teed you up and you put me away. On that note, I think we need to end the show. Guys, thank you very much. It has been